Recently, Stephanie and I were touring a city that had experienced a terrible earthquake over 100 years ago, the effects of which could still be seen today through cracks on the walls and even earthquake bolts holding buildings together. It got me thinking about how earthquakes are the result of pressure built up from the constant movement of tectonic plates beneath the surface of the earth. Eventually, the friction between these plates builds so much pressure that when they break loose, it releases a surge of energy that sends a shock wave that can be felt for hundreds of miles. And this sudden surge of energy has both immediate and long-term effects on homes, buildings, roads, and bridges, leaving them vulnerable long after the debris has been removed and buildings replaced. The last couple of years, our nation and our churches and even our families have experienced an earthquake of sorts, a pressure that's built up so strong that its release has shaken us to the core, resulting in catastrophic damage to our lives physically, relationally, emotionally, and spiritually. A pandemic unlike anything we have seen in years took the lives of thousands of people, striking fear in our hearts and causing businesses, schools, and even churches to stop in-person gatherings. As if that wasn't enough, a shockwave of racial injustice and political unrest sparked riots and polarizing opinions that exposed deep-rooted fault lines of hatred and distrust and revealed just how vulnerable we were. Our families, friendships, cities, and churches have felt both the immediate and long-term effect of these events. They have been shaken, they have been weakened, and even destroyed. Maybe the most heartbreaking of all has been the effects this has had on the church, the one place that is created to reflect faith, hope, and love to a broken and hurting world. What we have seen instead is a deconstruction of faith that has revealed our vulnerability, people pulling away from the church, limiting its impact, and compromising its stability. In the book of Nehemiah, after Nebuchadnezzar sacked the city of Jerusalem in 586 BC, its walls and gates laid in ruin for over 140 years. The city was fragile, and its impact was a fraction of what it once was. It wasn't just the walls that were in shambles. The destruction of this city left the people returning from exile feeling vulnerable, hopeless, and without purpose. That is, until Nehemiah, who had been providentially positioned as the cupbearer of the king of Persia, found out. And it was heartbreaking to him. God raised him up to challenge the people of Jerusalem to set about rebuilding and restoring what had been destroyed. And they responded faithfully, miraculously rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem in just 52 days, helping rebuild their faith, rekindle their hope, and restore their love. The events of the last couple of years have all but torn our nation apart. Many churches are struggling and in disarray, but make no mistake, our God is still on the throne. So what if God allowed these events to shake us in such a way that would reveal everything temporary and remind us of the one thing that is eternal? What if God allowed everything that can shake to shake so that we would place our eyes on the one unshakable God? When we see obstacles, God sees opportunities. And these challenges have created an unprecedented opportunity for the church to respond in ways that could help restore faith, hope, and love in ways we haven't seen in decades. When things of value are destroyed, compromised, or left vulnerable, that's when the people of God step up and step in and seek to make things right. Throughout history, the church has been at its best, has shined the brightest when the challenges around us were at all-time highs. It's time for the church to rise up and to do whatever is necessary to strengthen our faith, to strengthen our impact, and strengthen our stability, so that we can be the church that Jesus Christ died for, the church that God has called and equipped us to be, the church that points people to Jesus, who is the only hope of the world. Just like Nehemiah, we believe that God has positioned and prepared us to respond to our biggest challenge yet. Something so big that it's going to take all of us 100% engagement to fulfill what we are calling in this next season rise up. Over the next 24 months, we are praying that everyone who calls Rush Creek home would encounter God in such a way that He would initiate new levels of surrender, faith, service, and generosity in our lives and in our church. Can you imagine the difference we can make in the kingdom of God if each one of us made extraordinary decisions, took extraordinary steps to partner with our extraordinary God? Rush Creek, it's time for us to fully surrender ourselves to the purpose and plans of God in order to see more people than ever before find and follow Jesus. God has prepared and positioned us for such a time as this, and now it is time for us to respond. It's our time, church, to rise up and be forerunners of the faith, united to help people find and follow Jesus so that He can restore their faith, hope, and love. Church, let's rise up.